publishing in Australia. So this is like very, I, I would say that, and I mean this in the utmost kindest way. This is, of course, a foreign publisher from a totally different country, but thank goodness it's an Anglophone country, not, a country that speaks Japanese or German or something, or publisher from, from a country that speaks, a totally different language, but it's from Australia. And and it's funny, and I'm going to just go ahead and tell you how things are viewed, the majority point of view in the United States. I offered the Hispanic, the Latin American Oracle deck that I'm working on. I offered it, the idea. I offered it to many publishers in the U.S., and it got rejected. Nobody wanted to work with something out of Mexico or out of Latin America. So when I offered it to the publisher in Australia, they fell in love with it. It was something they said that it was something so rich in culture and something that they needed in their, not their system, but they needed something that ties, I'm sorry, sometimes my English goes in and out. They needed a publication, a subject, a theme of that matter in their publisher. So when I presented to them, and I told them, "Are you bothered that it is it is based of Mexican culture?" They said it could be based of the moon, Saturn, alien culture. We don't care. I mean, just how rich it is, and the images will be more than happy to publish it. And I was like, why didn't the U.S. publishers do that? But I mean, that's whatever. That's to me whatever. So wasn't going to.
There's a lot in the U.S. culture going on in reference to, racism and cultural appropriation, and
Mm-hmm.
for some reason, there's a lot of people that are not open, to other cultures and looking past, our differences and seeing that, we're all people. God's put us all here, regardless of walk of life, color of skin. We're all from one giant race. But,
Exactly.
Over here in the U.S. culture, things have changed a lot. They've gotten worse rather than better, and we look at things differently. And it's one of those things that, it's sad to look at sometimes, that we can't accept a beautiful culture. Even a deck, of oracle cards or tarot cards, without looking at it going, oh, yeah, we don't want that. And it's one of those things, just like, this is beautiful culture.
Right.
Cultures need to be shown. There's beauty, as I mentioned, in all cultures.
But
and
then
we often sometimes look at the worst of everything rather than, being from another country or having traveled the world and seeing how different people live and having to experience, all the vastness that all these wonderful, beautiful people have. And we turn our nose up here, a lot of times with certain things. And it's like, I want the beauty, the passion, the joy, the semblance of, look, we have a lot of things in common. Yeah, we have a lot of differences, but look at all the beauty that we show. Look at where our culture, where we come from. It's one of those things that, bothers me and annoys me a lot, the state of some things in the U.S. And, I'm not a very political person, but I do know and I do see, right from wrong. I do see, differences, and I love differences because that's what makes us who we are. None of us are the same.
Right.
We're all different.
And going to the Oracle deck, and I had a friend tell me that, well, maybe because, it's maybe there's an air of racism from those publishers. And I tell them, but if you look, they release Oracle decks from Viking themes, Celtic themes, French, British, Old English, medieval in Europe, so but where something that's like from Latin America is like very, no, it's like, I mean, but then again, they don't realize just, how a lot of Hispanics are not, I could say that there's many Hispanic families, people that live in the United States. So if a publisher was to publish a Latin American tarot deck or oracle deck, it'd be more marketable for them, to me, to my understanding. It'd be more marketable considering just how many people from Latin American culture live in the United States. But again, I mean, of course, that to me, I think, well, that's their, that's their loss. Animal Dreaming in Australia took it. They love it. There are many people in Australia that know Sharon and Scott and myself. They're anticipating the Oracle deck, and it's been getting a lot of movement. When I post pictures up there of, these are one of the cards that are going to be featured in the, in this Oracle deck and so forth. A lot of people, like, there's so many likes. There was one time when I posted 3 pictures, there was like 85 likes just in 2 days. And to me, that's like, wow. I mean, they're really drawn to it, And of course, it's the image. I mean, I can't say much about it because it's still, in development. But there's a lot of meaning. There's a lot of background to the image. The image are of interpretation and so forth. I mean, it's just so very rich in culture. And of course, art-wise, Sharon, she's, magnificent. And of course, I worked with Jasmine, whose artwork I admire, and now working with Sharon on this Oracle deck. And people tell me if Schiffer is going to publish the Oracle deck, and I tell them, no, they have nothing to do with it. I went ahead and parted ways with Schiffer on good terms and went ahead and signed with Animal Dreaming in Australia. Some ask me, why did you do that? Why didn't you stick with Schiffer? And for an author or creator, some of us don't like to be tied just to one publisher and have to follow their rules, take what they're giving us, we don't like that. I mean, to me, I like to work with different publishers just so I can get acquainted, so I can learn something, that maybe one day I can, open my own publishing company, or, if I want to publish a tarot deck, a self-publish, I much less know how to go ahead and go about it, how to go ahead and publish it, and so forth. And I believe that I had told you that I am also working on a tarot deck, and this one I'm going to go ahead and self-publish.
Yes, we had that conversation. We talked for quite a while the other day, about, the self-publishing, how to go about, looking up different places that you can print and publish your own, and we kind of got on the topic of what to expect. So, for our listeners, that may be considering doing a publish, deck or book or even self-publishing, what are some of the things that they can expect, during the process? Because I know it's not always pretty.
No. No. I mean, many people have a misconception that that you publish a book or a tarot deck and you become rich. That is a total myth. That is a fad. That is not true. I mean, the Beautiful Creatures Tarot has been successful. It has won awards, recognition, prestige, but I am not living in a 3-story house with a lawn made of emerald diamonds. So, so it's not to that point. So basically, when you publish, there's always, when publishing work, it is very crucial, and anybody's going to go ahead and tell you to read the contract correctly, read between the lines, because if some people just sign a contract out of excitement, because they're that desperate to be published. And then along the line, they find it that working in the publishing with publishers is just the miserablest thing that they've ever encountered. And of course, if a contract does not, and this is my advice and I went through it not too long ago. I was going to sign, I'll tell my story later. But if a contract does not feel right, don't sign it. Get away from it. Or try to renegotiate with the publisher. And if they don't want to budge, if they're the type that it's my way or the highway, go find yourself another publisher. You don't have to be putting up with that, and you don't have to sacrifice your hard work just to please that publisher when in return you're not going to get almost nothing in return. There will be some publishers that they go ahead and give you an advancement. And let's say, for example, you are the publisher and I'm the creator. I offer you my work. You say, I'll give you $3,000 for it, but they don't tell you a little bit about the advancement, how it works. That advancement is one, to buy the rights off your work, basically meaning you have no say or no legal ownership of your work anymore. It belongs to the publisher. And that advancement, you have to pay it back to the publisher with the money that your tarot deck sells. Like, for example, it's $3,000 that you offer me. My first royalty check is $1,000. You're keeping those $1,000. I'm not going to see anything out of it. Second royalty check is $500. The third one, $500. Then the fourth one, $1,000. Okay, you know what? Yes, I mean, it took that much. And a royalty check is every 6 months, so it's 2 times a year. So I mean, and it took like a year, or I believe, just to meet that money. So there's also that to be taken into consideration, and also in the publishing. And this is for new authors out there who want to publish. In the publishing, you're always going to get the short end of the stick in money wise. So you're going to get either the 5% royalty rate, or if you're lucky, you might even get 12 or 10, and that's it. Unless you're some Pablo Picasso or Da Vinci or so forth, then of course the publisher will renegotiate with you. So, and knowing how publishers work in the US and how publishers work in Australia, what I've seen, what little I've seen, is that in Australia they tend to be more open-minded creatively. I mean, of course, they're not so stuck on the money, how much it's going to make, how much we're going to be rolling in, or we're going to be banking, but they're more about giving the creator, the author, leverage to put out a beautiful product so it can appeal to people. And that's one thing that, that new authors have to take into consideration. Also, when it comes to self-publishing, it's a lot more work. But with self-publishing, I mean, since I am working on my tarot deck and I'm self-publishing it, basically, I noticed that I have 100% complete artistic control over it. How I want it to look, how I want the size of the cards, the box to look. Because when I had offered my horror tarot to a publisher, I'm not going to mention names because it's not a pretty story. Upon reading the contract, it was an advancement. They wanted to take the rights off of me, and they wanted to make modifications to the images. Like, for example, if they wanted for the female wearing a red dress blonde female wearing a red dress to be a brunette wearing a bikini, I was going to have to do that, signing the contract. So with that just tells you that they are just appealing to the public. They're not taking into consideration what the creator initially created and what they set out to interpret in their drawings. And so that's what happened. And I told them, okay, the tarot deck is not your typical carbon copy of the Rider-Waite. Neither was the Beautiful Creatures Tarot, and neither is this one. It's a little bit different. There's an air to the Rider-Waite. And I told them, so this needs to have a companion book. It is mandatory to have a companion book. Anything below 50 pages is not going to cut it. And they said, well, no, us, they just started basically not getting off their high horse. They said, you're going to have to go ahead and it's going to have to go ahead and go in a tuck box, and it's going to have a little white book. And if it sells well and so forth, then we'll think about making an additional companion book, or we'll make it into a set. And to me, I was like, how dare you, how dare you just, crush or, towards what I had envisioned, what I had planned, which I found despicably rude. And I didn't even send the contract. I think I burned the contract when we were making a barbecue, just threw it in the fire and it burned. So,
well, I think it's important, for people that are just starting out. Like, I'm not a published person, but I've read a lot and I've talked to a lot of people that have published. If you are a visionary person, stick with your vision.
Exactly.
You will have a lot of people that'll say, no, don't want it. Nope, I want to make changes. It's like the fly, and, the more honey you put out, the more flies you attract. So if you get turned down by 5, 7, 10 different publishers, don't give in. Keep looking. You know, talk to other people that have published and say, hey, who did you use? You know, and go down through the list, because you will find somebody that will take